Hello, hello. I'm just recording this video for anybody who missed day one, which we were talking about stress. So I wanted to just go through and quickly show you what you missed out on. So you can go through this slideshow at your own pace. We talked about what stress is and um, how it's your body and mind's response to everyday demands or threats, and it can be negative or positive. So we did a little Nearpod activity where you were supposed to draw into a volcano words that describe when you're feeling stressed. So synonyms, those go on the inside. And then on the outside, we put ways that you can deal with stress that are not harmful to anyone. And then coming out of the top, if you imagine that volcano has exploded under all the pressure, those are things that are harmful or destructive. So you can see an example right here on the slide. Obviously you can't go back and do the Nearpod on your own. So that's what that's all about. We also talked about general adaptation syndrome. So there is an ed puzzle that you were supposed to complete before class today. If you have not done that, you need to go back and do it. And that is linked in this folder for day one as well. So general adaptation syndrome, we just kind of went through a summary of what that means. So the alarm stage is going to be your fight or flight response. We talked about an example of if you were at the mall, which this actually happened a couple of years ago. If you were at the mall shopping and you thought you heard gunshots, or people around you thought they heard gunshots, what would your body do to react to that? So your heart rate goes up, you're sweating, your muscles are tense, your pupils dilate to let more light in, and you're breathing faster, and your body is going to make a decision for you whether you're going to run out of the mall, which would be flight, or if you're going to try to take that person down, which most people are not going to choose that option, but that would be the fight response. Kind of the same thing if you were walking in your neighborhood and then this dog came after you. Are you going to try to run home? You're going to try to run to somebody else's house and go inside and get away? Or are you going to try to fight that dog off? Maybe you don't have anywhere else that you can go. So we can talk about it all day, what you think you would do, but your body is going to have an automatic response because it's going to release the epinephrine, which is adrenaline, but it also releases cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And so when you have too much cortisol, negative things start to happen to your body. It makes it harder for people to lose weight, or they tend to hold on to weight. And your body, your immune system is going to be slowing down. You get sick more often. And so we gave examples of that resistance stage. Like, what would make somebody stay in that resistance stage? Well, it could be an abusive home life. It could be being in a bad relationship. It's just day in and day out, that stress. It could be financial, right? Like not being able to pay all your bills and not being able to make ends meet. Somebody who is homeless, somebody who has an illness that maybe they were born with, and they're going to deal with it forever. Like all of those things could put somebody into the resistance stage. And then, unfortunately, some people get to the exhaustion phase where their body basically shuts down. They're definitely getting sick more often, but they can develop something like cardiovascular disease or depression, anxiety, have ulcers in their stomach, right? And at the end of the video, it said, ultimately, stress can kill someone. So we need to do things that are going to help us to not be in the resistance and exhaustion stage. So I also gave you guys another activity in Nearpod. Is stress always negative? Well, the answer is no. And what are some examples of good things that can cause stress? Well, a wedding, or going to college, applying for a job, like going to a job interview or starting a new job, moving, all those things can be positive. Going on vacation can be positive, but there's a lot of things that are stressful about that. Or how can stress be used in a positive way? So if you really buckle down and get that work done or study for a test, because of the stress. You can use it as a motivator. People who play sports, they can use it as a motivator to do better on the field. Okay, so that was that little activity. And then there is another video that you can watch in your free time. He gives some examples of people who went through stressful situations, and in that moment they were really stressed out and freaking out, but then ultimately that stress stopped them from being somewhere that they probably would have died if they were there. So I'm not going to give it away. You can go watch the video on your own. It's a pretty short video. But learn about what you can control and what you cannot control, and try to use it for your benefit, or to learn from it. Okay, so then positive ways to deal with stress. You can read those. There's a little video with some teenagers who talk about how they manage their stress. And then the last slide is just what you actually need to do for class. So the Dealing with Stress Google form. And then also, this is not listed on here, but the Edpuzzle for tomorrow. So once you've completed that, you can click turn in. So that way I know that you are finished, and I will go back and look at those later on. The other thing that I quickly wanted to tell you about, these are not really necessities, but I wanted you to look at the stress resistance survey. So that is linked in Google Classroom. And you can see right here, you're going to go through, and you don't have to turn this into me. You're just going to go through and rate yourself. 4 if you always do it, 3 for almost always, 2 for often, 1 for sometimes, 0 for never. And then you'll add up your score. And then you can see that on this one, you actually want to get a high score, because that means you're doing these awesome behaviors that help you be healthier, but also help you deal with stress better. So that's just a little tool for you, so you can maybe do some self-improvement. But the last thing is from this Nearpod, and I can link it below, or you can go Google it, the Holmes and Rahe Stress Scale. So you do not need to put your email address in here unless you want them to send you your results, okay? But you don't really need to have them do that. And so once you pull this website up, you'll go through and you'll say yes, no, yes, 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 no, no for all the items on the list. Right now it only shows 4, but there are a lot of items on there. And they have basically used research to show which items cause the most stress. I'll go ahead and tell you, these are basically geared towards adults, because if you look on here, death of a spouse, that can only happen if you're married, and I don't think any of y'all are married. Divorce, not parents getting divorced, but you actually getting divorced from someone. Again, you have to be married for that to happen. Separation, that would be if a husband and wife or whatever decided to live apart, and usually that leads to divorce, but sometimes it's a trial separation. The fourth one on the list, probably most of you have not experienced, you possibly could have, but going to jail. So that is ranked 63 points, whereas with the death of a spouse, that's ranked 100. So as you can tell, the higher the score on this, that is bad. So go see what they have your score as, but then I also want to challenge you to try to find a stress scale for teenagers. And you might need to use the word adolescent when you're searching for it. And I'm going to see if anybody finds any good tools that you can use that are ranking things for teenagers. And I don't know if I said this in the beginning, this is if it's happened to you in the last year. Okay, not 5 years ago, not when you were a baby, but if this has happened in the last year. So that is pretty much it. I wanted to just give that quick update. If you weren't in class, then that should help you know what you missed and what you need to get done for class participation. Thanks. Let me know if you have any questions.